I think alam ni Putin how to handle na, the relationship of the Philippines and Russia are quite independent and not necessarily makakaapekto yung gitgitan ng Philippines and China sa relationship natin with Russia. I think there's a way of handling it well, it depends really sa administration ni BBM kung paano niya dadalhin. Kasi ang nakikita ko naman kasi, it's good for the Philippines to have a deeper relationship with Russia kasi Russia can really help us when you talk about energy in terms of supply. Kasi sila talaga they're suppliers of energy related products.
Para pag-usapan ng mga usaping geopolitical, makakasama natin si Professor Ana Malindug Uy, isang geopolitical analyst. Prof, magandang gabi, maupay na gabi, Admar at MJ po inyong makakasama.
Kamusta kayo, ma'am?
Magandang gabi at magandang gabi sa ating mga kababayan, Admar and MJ, at maraming salamat at ako'y nakabalik din sa programa niyo ulit.
Opo, unahin ko lang muna itong relasyon ng ASEAN at ng Russia. 35 years na pala yung ugnayan with ASEAN at Russia. 50 years naman yung Russia at Pilipinas. Unahin ko lang muna yung napapala ng Russia sa ng ASEAN sa buong ASEAN sa Russia po, Prof.
Hello?
Prof? Hello, Prof. Naririnig niyo po ba ako or naririnig?
Naririnig.
Ayan, okay. Dalawa lang.
Ulitin natin.
Ulitin ko lang. Matagal na po yung ugnayan ng ASEAN at Russia, 35 years. Sa Pilipinas naman, 50 years. Unahin ko lang muna as a group, itong ASEAN, sa mga bansa dito sa ASEAN. Ano pong napapala natin sa Russia sa kasalukuyan mula noon hanggang sa kasalukuyan? Gaano kahalaga ang Russia naman bilang partner ng ASEAN?
I think ang ASEAN at saka Russian partnership within the 35 years is very important kasi when you talk about Russia, ang Russia is number one supplier as well. One of the top suppliers actually when you talk about energy and even related sa food security, meron din silang role na ginagampanan dahil I think when you talk about agricultural inputs, sila ang isa sa mga nagsusupply ng mga ganitong agricultural inputs like for example yung mga fertilizers and all that. So and also when you talk about natural gas, LNG, and of course renewable energy, but much more I think natural gas and LNG, ang Russia ay isa sa pinaka top source ng tinatawag nating medyo wait. Sorry. Tumatawag si sorry. May tumatawag sa akin. Sorry importanteng tao, but anyway, mas importante itong interview right now natin. So anyway, yun nga, ang pinasinasabi ko, when it comes to energy, when it comes to fertilizers, at saka when it comes to food security, ang Russia is one of those countries na nasa top. So kaya ang ASEAN member states ay nagbe-benefit dito. So even the Philippines to a greater extent. And I think Russia is also a major power when you talk about military and defense at saka maraming mga ASEAN member states ang actually right now dependent din or have good military and defense cooperation, security cooperation with Russia. One of that is Vietnam. And at the same time, when you talk about trade, investment, and of course tourism, I think Russia is now an emerging partner ng ASEAN member states. So in that sense, kahit na 35 years pa lang ang relationship ng dalawa, maraming opportunities na nakukuha din ang ating ASEAN member states kaysa Russia and vice versa. Kasi two-way naman ang relationship na yan. May tinatawag kang ASEAN level to Russia and then yung mga member states, may sarili din silang mga relationship sa bawat isa. So,
Opo.
yun.
Sa pagdating naman sa Pilipinas, na ano ba natin, na kuha ba natin yung extent talaga ng mapapala ng Pilipinas sa Russia compare dito sa ibang mga bansa sa ASEAN, considering alam naman natin na malapit na kaalyado ng Pilipinas, lalo na ngayon, itong Amerika. At alam naman natin yung mga hidwaan sa mga US, sa Russia, sa China po, or napipigilan yung full extent talaga na meron tayong maraming mapapala sa Russia po, Prof?
Pagdating naman sa Pilipinas, wait lang kasi Sorry ha. Ano, ngayong araw na to, alam mo, sunod-sunod ako, sobrang loaded sa interview at meetings. But anyway, pagdating sa Pilipinas, I think ang relationship natin with Russia, especially when you talk about energy, and when you talk about agriculture, of course, in relation to food security, I think when it comes to tourism, and even when it comes to defense and cooperation, hindi yan na ma-maximize or talagang na-utilize so far, thus far. Kasi I think because of the fact na malayo ang Russia sa Pilipinas, kasi Russia is of course part of the European continent. So kung titignan mo yung distance, hindi kasi ang Russia immediate neighbor ng Pilipinas. However, I think with this new itong summit na nangyari between President Putin and BBM, President Marcos Jr., at nagkaroon sila ng summit na parang independent dun sa ASEAN-Russia commemoration na event, nagkaroon ng bilateral na pag-uusap ang dalawang bansa, Russia, the Russian Federation and of course the Philippines. I think ito ang parang nakikita nila na ito na yung simula or mag-i-ignite ng tinatawag ng mas deeper na relationship ng dalawang bansa, especially when you talk about, I think the most important I think dun sa meeting is more on possible opportunities and investment pagdating sa energy. I think that's one which is very much important for the Philippines kasi kailangan natin ng energy supply na consistent at I think Russia can supply us with that. And I think marami na rin tayong binibili sa Russia, especially during the crisis ng Iran dyan sa Strait of Hormuz na nagsara at tumaas yung bilihin ng energy-related products. I think Russia was supplying us and we're buying from them. And right now, parang pinagtibay yan. At saka I think when you talk about tourism, isa yan na ini-explore right now ng BBM administration. And I think when you talk about agriculture, kasi ang sabi ko nga kanina, Russia is one of the major suppliers ng agricultural inputs, especially when you talk about actually wheat is one and fertilizers I think. So ito ang magsisimula ngayon kasi mas I think na emphasize doon sa meeting ni BBM and Putin, and I think pinapaigting din nila ang tinatawag mong people-to-people exchanges kasi nga parang nag-explore tayo right now kung ano ang mga possible na ventures na pwede nating makapitalize when you talk about tourism, but not a one-way thing. I think it's both sides na, tourism ng mga Russians sa Pilipinas at tayo din siguro pupunta sa Russia to do some tourism. So, in a way, sa akin, sa tingin ko lang, itong summit na to, ngayon pa lang siguro ma-exemplify at ma-maximize ang tinatawag ng Russia-Philippine relations na kung saan 50th anniversary natin this year. Yeah.
Opo. Nakikita nyo po ba na posibleng maapektuhan din yung relasyon natin na hindi makamit natin yung full extent ng mga benepisyo mula sa Russia? Dahil nga din po sa relasyon natin with China na may magandang relasyon naman ng China sa Russia po, Prof.
Well, sa akin lang, it depends really on the BBM administration how it gonna, handle the relationship. Kasi tama ka naman, Adman, ang sinasabi mo nga, ang China at Russia are best friends at the moment. So they have really close relationship, and I think major powers and they're part of BRICS, and in some ways partner yung dalawa, lalo na when you talk about BRICS and when you talk about other international relations issues and even geopolitics vis-a-vis the Western Alliance led by the United States. So makikita mo na talagang close ang Russia and China at this time. However, ang makikita mo rin at the moment yung relationship ng Philippines with regard to vis-a-vis China, hindi lang medyo, talagang very challenging at ang daming issue na nangyayari at gitgita na highly politically charged ang relationship ng China at the Philippines. So, kung titignan mo, ang tanong mo, kung makakapektuhan ba ang relationship natin na like Russia to Philippine relation, well, it really depends on BBM kasi pwede naman maging segmented yan. And I think President Putin, sa tagal niya sa pagiging statesman at saka leader ng kanyang bansa, I think alam ni Putin how to handle na the relationship of the Philippines and Russia are quite independent and not necessarily makakaapekto yung gitgitan ng Philippines and China sa relationship natin with Russia. I think there's a way of handling it na, well, it depends really sa administration ng BBM kung paano niya dadalhin. Kasi ang nakikita ko naman kasi, it's good for the Philippines to have a deeper relationship with Russia kasi Russia can really help us when you talk about energy in terms of supply. Kasi sila talaga they're suppliers of energy related products. So maganda yon for the Philippines. On the other hand, when you talk about that would diversify the sources of energy ng Pilipinas kasi tayo, importer talaga tayo ng energy-related products, especially ng natural gas, LNG, and others. So magkakaroon ng Pilipinas ng chance to diversify more its energy sources. On the other hand, when you talk about food security, makakatulong talaga din ang Russia on that. And of course, when you talk about tourism, magda-diversify tayo. And then trade is one. Kasi ngayon, pinag-uusapan din paano yung exchanges ng mga business entities ng Russia pupunta sa Pilipinas and how we can possibly have investments and exports of our goods in Russia. So in a way, this is very good for the Philippines kung maximize niya yan at ma-utilize niya yan. At kung magagawa ni BBM administration, paano i-isolate ang relationship niya kay Russia na hindi maapektuhan niya ng gitgitan ng Pilipinas at ng China dyan sa South China Sea and even sometimes nai-involve ang Taiwan Strait. Kasi definitely, when you talk about relationship ng China at Russia, malakas yan. Mas malakas yan kaysa sa relationship ng Russia and Philippines. So, nasa pag-handle yan. On the part of Russia, I think I don't really have any. I think the Russians can really handle it. Kasi if you look at the Russians, they have good relation with India. And even sometimes India-China relations is very challenging. Pero Russian and India relations are quite very good. And even when you talk about Vietnam and Russian relations are very good as well. Even though Vietnam, before and even every now and then, may gitgitan sa South China Sea kasi claimant state ang Vietnam ng South China Sea. Pero maganda pa rin naman kasi ang relationship din ng Vietnam and China actually at this time. So it's really dependent on how the administration ng BBM will handle this. And probably the next administration, kung magkakaroon tayo ng change of leadership after 2028, yun yung magiging titignan natin. Pero I would believe that we should have a very good relation with Russia.
Opo, Prof, si MJ po ito. Baka naman patawan tayo ng sanctions ng US dahil nakipag-usap tayo sa Russians. Tingin mo, Prof.
That is another question. Kanina ang tanong ni Admar is China. Right now naman, ang tanong ni MJ, United States, which is also another challenge for the administration ng BBM. Kasi tayo naman, mas mahirap-hirap ito kasi ang nangyayari sa Ukraine is it is really like ang Ukraine is backed up by the United States and the European Western Europe, Tapos ang kalaban nila is ang Russia. Tapos tayo, we are a military ally through the MDT, Mutual Defense Treaty of the United States. So in a way, challenging din yung posisyon natin kasi baka naman mainis sa atin yung United States dahil nga we're trying to get closer to Russia. Well, it really depends on BBM again. Kaya nga sinasabi natin lagi at lagi ko rin sinasabi sa lahat ng interview ko, as dito nagmamatter ang tinatawag mong independent foreign policy, that you're a friend to all, an enemy to none. Pag independent ang foreign policy mo at hindi tied up to one major power like the United States or any major power, madali ang maneuvering at madaling magkaroon ka ng close relationship with, let us say, Russia, when in fact Russia is kind of a perceived adversary of the United States. So hindi ka mahirapan. Pero kasi ngayon, ang challenge ng BBM administration is the foreign policy is not necessarily independent, and really, to be very straightforward about it, it's very leaning to the United States. So ito yung challenge kasi in a way, ang US would not want its ally to be very close to its perceived adversary. And the perceived adversary really of the United States is unang-una is China and the other one is Russia. Yan talaga ang totoo pagdating sa geopolitics. So right now, ang challenge kay BBM bilang architect of foreign policy is paano niya i-handle ito na hindi magre-react ang US and will the US will not say na, oh, tama na yung relationship na yan with Russia. Hindi yan, wag ganyan. Or, kaya nga nagkakaroon tayo ng gitgitan with China is precisely the United States also is influencing our foreign policy and using the South China Sea. So, ang hirap ng sitwasyon na yan. Well, it's up to BBM, paano niya i-handle yan at ang administration niya. Pero at the end of the day, yun ang sinasabi ko lagi. The Philippines being a small country, hindi naman tayo mayaman, hindi tayo ganun kalakas as a country, kadami nating problema. Ang best position really for us para ang mga sitwasyon na ganito ay maiwasan mo at makaka-maneuver ka is to have an independent foreign policy, neutral ang position mo, equidistant to all major powers, para you can maneuver and you can have closer and deeper relationship with any major powers na kahit sila ay hindi magkakaibigan, basta sila lahat ay kaibigan natin. Dapat ganun talaga ang Pilipinas para hindi ka nahihirapan at hindi ka na parang nakakalanganin ang posisyon mo. So, yun yung tingin ko.
Opo, ma'am. Meron pong standing arrest warrant, no? Si President Putin sa ICC. Tapos, inimbitahan ni PBBM si Putin by November, pumunta raw ng Pilipinas para dumalo sa isa pong summit bilang the Philippines is the ASEAN chairman. Si former President Duterte, nakulong ngayon sa ICC sa ilalim ng termino ni President BBM. Anong basa mo doon, ma'am?
Yan ang kailangang awit. Una, technically, the Philippines, not only technically and substantially kasi, the Philippines is not anymore a party of the Rome Statute. We're not a party to it. So, ibig sabihin, ang nag-withdraw tayo even during the time of PRRD kay President Duterte pa. So, ang issuance ng ICC warrant of arrest ni Putin, actually, ni President Putin, actually nangyari yon, wala na tayo sa ICC. We're not anymore part of the ICC because we're not anymore a party to the Rome Statute. So, in a way, wala tayong obligasyon na mag-implement or sundin ang mga directives from the ICC, or wala tayong obligasyon kasi we are not anymore part of the ICC or of the Rome Statute. So, ang hindi siya sakop ng jurisdiction na ng ICC, well, in a way, tayo ang Pilipinas, talaga dapat ganon, wala na. So, yung pag-invite ni I think aware ang BBM administration at of course I think the DFAs, the heads of the DFA, mga kung nandyan sa DFA na, they can invite Putin to go to the Philippines because even if Putin has an ICC warrant of arrest, the Philippines always have a choice not to even, implement that kasi nga, wala naman tayong talagang obligasyon na sa ICC kasi hindi na tayo part ng ICC. So, kahit sabihin pa ng ICC, halimbawa na pumunta si Putin sa Pilipinas na, arrestuhin nyo na, hindi na kasi wala tayong obligation, we're not anymore a member state of the ICC or party to the Rome Statute. So, ganun ang sitwasyon. So, kaya si BBM, sinabi niya na, please come to the Philippines to attend the East Asia Summit. Kasi alam niya yun eh. Ngunit, ang problema ni BBM, alam naman pala niya na hindi na tayo party to the ICC. At saka, wala na tayong obligasyon sa ICC. Yet, when you talk about PRRD, pinaaresto niya at nag-cooperate siya sa ICC. That is really the problem. Ito yung problema ni BBM eh. Yun ang tinatawag ng selective na cooperation with the ICC. Kasi dahil adversary niya, dahil political enemy or quote-unquote CPRRD ng current administration, especially ng mga Marcoses on the part of BBM, nag-cooperate siya. And not only that, kasi andyan din si Bato, si Senator Bato, nagko-cooperate din ang gobyerno natin, kahit wala na naman tayong obligasyon sa ICC, and we are not anymore a member of the ICC, pero nagko-cooperate pa rin sila para i-implement ang warrant of arrest ni Senator Bato. Diba? So, ibig sabihin, tawag nito, may duplicity ang positioning ng BBM administration when you talk about the ICC. Ito yung problema eh. Kasi duplicity yan ang tawag eh. Kasi dahil political adversary niya, political enemies niya, ang mga ito, ang Duterte camp, and especially those politician allied ng Duterte at si PRRD, nakipag-cooperate. Pero i-invite niya si Putin kasi technically and substantially alam niya na, kapag pumunta si Putin sa Pilipinas, even may ICC standing warrant, pwedeng sabihin kasi ng gobyerno ng Pilipinas na, wala kami pakialam dyan kasi we're not anymore party to the ICC at hindi kami susunod dyan. And at the same time kasi, pag in-invite mo ang isang presidente, lalo na ang tulad ni President Putin, of course, you have to assure na ang security ng presidente na yan, ni Putin, will be very, established at secured yan paglapag sa Pilipinas. At wala man. Or else, magkakaproblema tayo sa Russia. And definitely, Russia will not, Russia is a strong country. It's a powerful country, especially when it comes to military. I don't think the BBM administration would even dare to do anything related to that ICC arrest warrant against President Putin. I don't think so. So, I think alam ni BBM at ang administration niya yung mga pros and cons and at the same time yung technicalities and substantial na aspect ng tinatawag ng ICC standing warrant of arrest kay President Putin at saka yung ating pagiging hindi na actually part of the ICC. So walang jurisdiction ang ICC sa atin at wala tayong obligasyon sa ICC. So ganun ang niyan. Ano yung dynamics yan at saka yung tingin ko dyan.
Opo, ma'am, bago lang po si partner Admar, do you think yung invitation niya kay President Putin strategic o impulsive? Biglaan lang, naisip lang. Sige, punta ka sa amin. Punta ka sa amin without thinking the repercussions kasi may mga nagsasabi na kung pumunta daw dito ang presidente ng Russia at walang ginawang aksyon ng ICC at hindi siya naaresto, meron dong tinatawag na non-equal implementation of the law. Kasi nga, si PRD dinala sa ICC. Ngayon, itong may standing arrest warrant, pumunta ng Pilipinas kung saan naaresto ang dating Pangulo at dinala sa the Netherlands, hindi rin magawa. Anong tingin mo, ma'am? Impulsive invitation or strategic?
I think it's I don't think it's impulsive and I don't think also it's strategic. I think it's more diplomatic and a protocol. Protocol yan. Kasi when you talk about the East Asia Summit, the Philippines is the chair of ASEAN. And during sa time na yan, sa November, in the same manner na nangyayari yan, kasi tayo yung host, tayo ang chair. So sa November, magkakaroon ng ganong summit. Of course, the Philippines is the host. So ang ASEAN kasi, hindi lang naman kasi sa East Asia Summit, hindi lang naman ASEAN ang pupunta, ASEAN member states ang a-attend or yung leaders ng ASEAN member states ang a-attend. Ang tinatawag ng major partners ng ASEAN, and that includes Russia, is also usually, it's a tradition and it's always the case na ini-invite ng host country ng ASEAN na pumunta para sa East Asia Summit and I think other related summits and meetings. It's really the case. So, lagi yan. Even Malaysia last year is the same. So ngayon, it's a protocol and at the same time, it's a diplomatic gesture of inviting the Russian president to attend the East Asia Summit. Kaya nga very clear, very specific ang sabi ni BBM, diba? East Asia Summit. Because really, you need to invite the major partners and Russia is one. Kasama dyan ang China, the United States, and even other countries na tinatawag nating major powers. So even India, I think if they want to invite, they can. So ganun yun. Pero so hindi ko siya masasabing impulse kasi definitely si BBM ay briefed ng mga tao niya sa paligid niya and actually of course I think by the DFA or even by the secretary of the DFA, and I think hindi rin siya strategic in many ways, but I think it's more a diplomatic gesture sa akin. Now, as to the consequences of that invitation, kung mag-a-attend nga ba at pupunta nga ba si President Putin sa Pilipinas sa November, yan ay ating makikita at yan ang titignan natin kung mayroon nga ba. Kasi, well, I think, ang bola kasi dyan, when you talk about this ICC arrest warrant, it's always on the host country. Like for example, President Putin went to Indonesia. Wala, di ba? Kasi ang Indonesian government before, sinabi lang nila, well, hindi namin ino-honor yung ICC warrant of arrest against President Putin. So, President Putin can fly. Well, it depends on the Philippines at the moment kung anong gagawin ni BBM. Pero, ang mahirap lang kay BBM, when you talk about optics internationally, it's like the international community will question that na okay, hindi ka nagko-cooperate when you talk about President Putin kasi invited guest mo, pero ang sarili mong former president ng bansa mo pinaaresto mo at nag-cooperate ka sa ICC dahil kalaban mo sa politika. At ngayon, may isa pang senator na ipapaaresto mo rin dahil may ICC warrant of arrest na kalaban mo rin sa politika. So, yun ang hindi maganda. Kasi parang na siya yun nga, hindi pantay ang pag-i-implement mo ng cooperation mo with the ICC. May selectivity. And just because domestically kalaban mo si PRRD sa politika and at the same time si Senator Bato, and probably the next one would be Bongo. Yun yung mahirap kasi the international community will look at it. And even I think President Putin and the rest of the Russians, they know this very well.
Opo. Prof, maraming salamat po sa inyong oras at panahon ngayong gabi sa uulitin. Ingat po kayo.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much and God bless.
Maraming
Bye-bye.
salamat. Pwede mo nang masagot yung tawag niyo po. Maraming salamat si
Oy,
Prof.
kilala niyo yung tumatawag sa akin yung very important person.
Opo. Maraming salamat si Professor Ana Malindugoy, isang geopolitical analyst na pag-usapan po natin yung ganap ng Pilipinas at ASEAN sa Russia.